Hello again and welcome to DanWhiteBooks, the book review channel where we talk everything books and attempt to make them that little bit more appealing to the masses. So what do we have today? Well, it's a book from an author who caused quite a stir back in 2018 when he came out to the press with some rather shocking revelations regarding Facebook and a little known company called Cambridge Analytica. My friends, readers and those otherwise curious, welcome to DanWhiteBooks, and today I'll be reviewing Mindfu by Christopher Wylie. Now you may have noticed in the title for this very video, I stated that the innocent book here that I'm reviewing, although perhaps not so innocent sounding, made me want to delete Facebook from my life, and let me assure you that is true. I've been thinking about it for some time and it still remains the case. For a long time I've questioned the continued uses of Facebook, in a time where it feels so powerful, imposing, and in a great sense unnecessary, at least on the surface. With past data being thrown around willy-nilly, one has to ask what such a monopoly corporation does with it all. But as you may know, leaving a website that has its arms stretching out in all directions is no easy thing. For to solely walk out on Facebook in these modern times, that puts a wall up to many, many people. And no matter how much we may not like it or even wish to believe it, with the world on Facebook, one person leaving is at a big disadvantage, particularly in the digital world. It's almost like turning off the electricity in your own home. I'm making the point that Facebook is powerful. People rarely give it up. People rarely think about what Facebook is even doing. And for those who take the plunge and go offline for good, certain connections taper off. Now, with such power should come supervision, regulation. But in the case of Facebook, this is far from the truth. It is a business unique in its position. And so maybe after this book review, you too may feel a little less comfortable when scrolling through that infinite feed of content tailored just for you. Our writer and author Christopher Wylie speaks of his difficulty growing up in a world not quite to his own mould. When younger he was treated differently and felt very different to others for the fact he used a wheelchair to get around. He states it was this alienation that drove him to computers. Like most who excel in coding and computer sciences, Wylie spent most of his younger years in front of a screen, this later developing the skill set needed to create a system of mass data harvesting and from such the manipulation that followed. Speeding ahead, Wylie finds himself working for a company called SCL and later a subsidiary company known as Cambridge Analytica. It is here where he worked on data harvesting projects for various clients, and within this book he explains exactly what that means and entails. In an age of nuclear bombs, tanks, fighter jets, and God knows how many other war machines on this planet, you may wonder why the hell data is so important, and furthermore why it is important to people in countries of war and to people in countries of peace. Well, that right there is what this book does a brilliant job of explaining. For it's not the data itself that is important, it's what people and corporations do with it. In particular, Cambridge Analytica went above and beyond the ways it harvested and used data for the benefits of its own investors and interests. But why, oh why, is data so important, I hear you ask? Some people may assume that scammers and wannabe criminals are the biggest threats. But that is far from the case. Let's start first with how Cambridge Analytica even managed to get all that data in the first place. Well, here, my friends, is the kicker, and one reason you should read this book alone. It's one word, maybe two. Facebook. 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 Well, not long ago, Facebook was able to share data without your consent whenever a specific person used an app that had been designed on the platform. And it gets worse than that. Imagine you've never used one of these apps. Well, that doesn't matter. Let's say you have a friend called, or let's call him my name, let's say Dan. Say I used that app on Facebook. Well, Facebook would not only pull the data from my profile and send it to the app developers, but from every single one of my friends' profile. And if you're one of my friends, then tough luck, because your data has been banked and shipped off for whatever use fits the purpose. And it doesn't take a genius to work out that some data you input into Facebook is of a deeply personal nature. In some cases, it could be used to identify you to a higher degree of accuracy than even your own parents. This is the world we find ourselves living in Christopher Wylie's book. And the awful fact of the matter is that this book is not a fictional story. It is an account from a real person who firsthand saw these abuses and passed evidence on to prove it. With the release of a series of different apps, Cambridge Analytica was soon to behold the data of millions and millions of people. There's even a scene in the book where the CEO of this company sits down and tests the data they have and rings up one of the people who's come through, and they answer, and he asks her questions about her interests, and it's all spot on. That is a crazy world. With such data, Cambridge Analytica began consulting with psychology professors and put together personality profiles that would identify people with specific personality traits. Then they would release their digital arsenal and target these people in an effort to sway opinions. They expertly crafted fake news, false stories, even communities, adverts, videos, sometimes of a very dark nature, we'll say, and targeted people across the globe to sway popular opinion on their leaders, corporations, and whomever was the highest bidder. This started in countries perhaps not so significant, and eventually went on to bigger countries such as America and the UK. With millions upon millions of data, Cambridge Analytica could fabricate a society and tweak it as they pleased. The implications are rather shocking, and this book goes on to take this notion of data manipulation further, is to say that both the US presidential election and Brexit vote were manipulated by the hand of Cambridge Analytica, feeding people false stories, sometimes subtle, other times not, and swaying their vote in a method far more effective than simply putting a leaflet through a letterbox. And it's for this reason Wylie felt compelled he had to tell this tale. Bold claims from a bold book that I certainly enjoyed reading, despite in parts how often unnerving it is. I must warn, there are some shocking statements within these pages, and ones that certainly warrant further investigations. I won't be commenting on them here, as I feel this would certainly require greater knowledge and insight, but they're put forward, and there's a lot of evidence there to suggest they may be true, but obviously I haven't researched the whole picture, shall we say. But what this book does so well is explain the shocking ways in which your data, my data, can be used to create a virtual space in where you live. This space can then be tweaked, can be bombarded with content to influence your decisions through psychological profiling. Articles are recommended to you that either support your points or perhaps seek to weaken them. And that's scary, because how many times have you recommended something in one day? How many times did you ask for it? Your virtual life and the content provided is churned out through a dozen algorithms, and you may never know who or what is controlling them. And there is a sickly horror in that. Mindfuck from me scores a 85 out of 100. It is an eye-opening account from a person driven almost to moral insanity, and explains in a simplistic fashion the very horror of data harvesting and manipulation. I've tried to explain some of the points here, but of course it goes very much deeper than what I've touched upon here. It shows how this data manipulation is a process far more superior than merely posting an advert on a website. So the next time you're told to sign up to any old thing with details saved, any old place, stop and think exactly what it is you're revealing and to who you are giving it. Because I can certainly imagine you would never write a letter with a sizable chunk of information, stamp your address, and post it off to a company lurking on Mayfair. My friends, thank you very much for watching. I hope you are continually keeping safe out there. This is DanWhiteBooks. If you'd like to see what I'm reading, you can follow me on Goodreads at goodreads.com/DanWhiteBooks. If you like the video, give it a like. You can subscribe for more book reviews and discussion. I thank you very much for watching and spending a bit of time with me here today. Keep safe out there. Goodbye.